Most older men completely miss the hidden reason younger women smile at them. They brush it off as politeness or worse, meaningless. But what if those smiles meant something more, something quietly powerful? Imagine this. You're in line at a cafe. You're calm, dressed with intention, and feeling like yourself. A younger woman glances over and smiles. You think it's just courtesy, but here's the truth. She's noticing you. Not just your look, but your presence, your confidence, your ease. You see, unlike younger guys who often fidget with their phones or chase approval, you're grounded, comfortable in your skin. That smile? It's not random. It's her silent recognition that there's something about you, a calm energy that stands out in a noisy world. Most men never realize this. They don't see how their quiet strength, their lived experience, even the way they hold eye contact, catches attention in ways youth can't replicate. It's not about flashy charm, it's about depth. And that's exactly what she's sensing. The best part? Once you understand what's really going on behind that smile, you'll stop second-guessing yourself. You'll see the moment for what it truly is, a subtle, powerful connection hiding in plain sight. So the next time a younger woman smiles at you, don't look away. There's more behind that glance than you've been led to believe. Number 1, she admires your confidence. Nathan stood in line at his usual coffee shop, hands in his pockets, shoulders relaxed. He wasn't dressed to impress, just a crisp shirt, well-fitted jeans, and that quiet ease that only comes from years of living, learning, and letting go of trying too hard. He glanced at the menu, already knowing what he was going to order, when he felt a subtle shift in the air. Across the counter, a younger woman, maybe in her late 20s, caught his eye. She wasn't staring, just watching. Then came the smile. It was brief, soft, almost instinctive. Nathan nodded politely and looked away, assuming it was nothing. But to her, it wasn't nothing. What Rachel saw wasn't just a man in line. She saw someone who moved differently from the boys she usually met. Someone who didn't fidget, didn't check his phone every 3 seconds, didn't try to fill silence with forced charm. He stood like he belonged there, not just in the coffee shop, but in his skin. That kind of confidence, it's magnetic. And the truth is, Rachel didn't even fully realize she was smiling. It was a reaction, a silent nod to the self-assurance Nathan wore like a second skin. Unlike the younger guys who were still figuring themselves out, Nathan carried the weight of experience and the lightness of having made peace with who he is. That smile was her way of saying, I see something rare in you. Most men never pick up on it. They assume too little, doubt too much. But confidence speaks volumes in silence. And sometimes a simple smile holds a story of curiosity, admiration, and connection, if you're just aware enough to notice. Judging others yields absolutely no improvement. Mindfulness always takes real awareness. Navigating social changes requires intentional persistence too. Number 2, you stand out from the crowd. It was a Friday evening, and the rooftop bar buzzed with energy. Music pulsed, glasses clinked, and clusters of 20-somethings laughed loudly over half-finished cocktails. In the middle of the crowd, Rachel sat with her friends, half listening, half scrolling, until something, or rather, someone, pulled her attention away. Nathan had just walked in. He wasn't loud. He didn't scan the room like he needed validation. He simply found his spot at the bar, ordered a drink, and leaned back, calm, composed, entirely unbothered by the chaos around him. Rachel watched, intrigued. There was no nervous energy, no over-the-top gestures, no desperate effort to impress. He wasn't glued to his phone. He wasn't adjusting his jacket or checking his reflection. He just was. And that quiet presence cut through the noise like a spotlight. When Nathan turned slightly and caught her eye, he didn't look away. He held her gaze for just a beat, confident, relaxed. And that was it. No wink, no cheesy smile, just calm recognition. It was so different from what she was used to. Most guys her age fumbled through interactions, cracking jokes every 5 seconds, needing to be liked. But Nathan, he was different. He didn't need the room's approval. He owned it without even trying. Rachel smiled, not because she wanted anything, but because she noticed something real. That moment, it wasn't about looks or age. It was about presence. And in a sea of boys trying to be seen, the man who didn't care if he was stood out the most. Judging others yields absolutely no improvement. Mindfulness always takes real awareness. Navigating social changes requires intentional persistence too. Number 3, you radiate stability. The rain had just started when Rachel ducked into the bookstore, her favorite hidden spot in the city. She wasn't looking for anyone, just some quiet, a warm drink, and maybe a new novel to escape into. As she wandered between the shelves, she noticed a man sitting by the window, flipping through a hardcover with a calm, focused air. It was Nathan. There was nothing flashy about him. He wasn't dressed to stand out. But the way he sat, still, grounded, undisturbed by the world outside, made him feel like the only solid thing in a room that constantly moved. Rachel found herself watching. It wasn't that he was handsome, though he was. It was the energy he gave off. He looked like someone who'd been through enough storms to no longer be shaken by the weather. There was a steadiness in his presence, a quiet strength that didn't beg to be noticed but couldn't be ignored. She smiled, not because she was flirting, not because she wanted to start a conversation, but because something in her softened just by being near that calm. It was as if her anxious thoughts slowed down. In a world full of constant noise, he was peace. What Nathan didn't know, what most men don't, is that stability isn't just about a steady paycheck or a plan for the future. It's about emotional gravity. It's about being the person others feel safer around, even without a word being said. And that smile Rachel gave him, it was her way of saying, I feel it, and it matters. Judging others yields absolutely no improvement. Mindfulness always takes real awareness. Navigating social changes requires intentional persistence too. Number 4, she finds experience attractive. It started with a conversation at the wine tasting table. Rachel wasn't planning to stay long. She came with a friend, mostly out of politeness, but the moment she overheard Nathan talking to the host about a vineyard in Tuscany, something shifted. His voice was calm, deliberate, not arrogant, just certain. He spoke not to impress, but to share. And it wasn't just the knowledge that drew her in, it was the ease in how he carried it. Curious, she stepped closer, pretending to study the bottles. Nathan turned, noticed her, and offered a genuine smile. Ever tried this one? He asked, holding a glass toward her, as if inviting her into the story. They started talking. It wasn't small talk. Nathan didn't ask her what she did 5 seconds into the conversation. He didn't brag about his job or try to one-up her opinions. Instead, he listened. Really listened. He told stories not to dominate the conversation, but to share something meaningful. He asked questions that made her think. His words were wrapped in insight, not ego. Every sentence felt like it had been earned through years of living, not rehearsed from a dating app script. Rachel couldn't stop smiling. It wasn't about the age difference. It was about depth. Most men her age chased moments, validation, and attention. But Nathan? He seemed like a man who'd already lived through those phases and now simply wanted to enjoy what's real. That kind of presence is rare, and for Rachel, incredibly attractive. She found herself wondering, what had he seen? What had shaped him? What quiet lessons had taught him that made him so unshakably composed? That smile she wore, half curious, half intrigued, wasn't flirtation, it was fascination. And Nathan, unaware, simply continued the conversation like he had nowhere else to be. Just overthinking yields avoidance. New ideas make actions. Thoughtful reflection allows natural strength. Clarity really improves persistence today. Number 5, she's testing the waters. The bookstore cafe was unusually quiet that afternoon. Rachel had just settled into her corner table with a chai latte and a worn-out copy of The Alchemist. She loved watching people pass by, guessing their stories, imagining their lives. That's when she saw him again. Nathan. He walked in with the same quiet confidence she remembered, composed, calm, like he never needed to prove anything to anyone. He ordered his drink without looking at his phone, then found a seat by the window. Rachel hesitated for a moment, then let a small, instinctive smile slip as their eyes met across the room. She wasn't expecting anything. Not really. It was, in a way, a test, not a conscious, manipulative game, but a subtle gauge of energy. Would he look back with interest? Would he panic, fluster, avoid eye contact? Or would he meet her gaze, steady and open? Nathan looked up. He didn't smile too quickly. He didn't look away. He just held her gaze for a beat, then offered the kind of warm, grounded smile that made her stomach flutter, like he wasn't playing along, but simply present. Rachel glanced down at her book, hiding a grin. In that single moment, he passed. You see, sometimes a smile from a younger woman isn't just attraction or friendliness. It's an unspoken invitation to see if you're aware enough, steady enough, bold enough to engage without forcing it. It's her way of saying, are you really who I think you might be? And here's what most men don't realize. This micro moment is everything. If Nathan had looked away awkwardly or overreacted, the window would have closed. But his subtle, self-assured response said it all. I'm here, I see you, and I'm not afraid to be seen. Rachel returned to her book, but her thoughts wandered. She wasn't planning on starting a conversation, but now she hoped he might. Sometimes the smile isn't the signal, it's the spark. What happens next? That's entirely up to you. Judging others yields absolutely no improvement. Mindfulness always takes real awareness. Navigating social changes requires intentional persistence too. Number 6. She genuinely finds you attractive. There was a soft breeze in the evening air as Rachel stepped onto the art gallery terrace, wine glass in hand. The city lights shimmered in the background, and conversations hummed all around her. She wasn't looking for anyone in particular, but then she saw him. Nathan. He stood near a sculpture, hands casually resting in his pockets, dressed in a well-fitted blazer, salt and pepper hair catching the soft glow of the outdoor lights. He wasn't talking loudly. He wasn't surrounded by a crowd. He was just there, at ease, observant, radiating something she couldn't quite name. Rachel felt a smile tug at her lips before she even realized it. It wasn't because he said anything clever. He hadn't even noticed her yet. But something about the way he carried himself, the calm energy, the quiet awareness, was magnetic. Not the kind of flashy, performative attraction she was used to, but something deeper, something earned. She found herself studying the lines on his face, not flaws, but stories. The way he stood, not stiff, not slouched, but assured. He didn't need to dominate the room. His presence did that for him. And here's the truth few say out loud. Older men like Nathan, they're attractive, genuinely, because what they bring to the table is rare. Maturity, intelligence, patience, a kind of peace that doesn't beg for attention, but demands respect. Rachel's smile wasn't polite. It was real. It was her way of saying, I see you, and I like what I see. So many older men fall into the trap of thinking they're invisible to younger women, that their time has passed. But that's a lie society repeats far too often. The reality? Some women are drawn to what can't be faked. Lived experience, subtle charm, a mind that's seen enough to know what matters and what doesn't. Nathan didn't try to impress her. That's why he did. As he finally looked in her direction and caught her smile, his lips curved in return, slow, confident, knowing. And for Rachel, in that instant, there was no doubt. Judging others yields absolutely no improvement. Mindfulness always takes real awareness. Navigating social changes requires intentional persistence too. Nathan never thought much of the glances, the fleeting smiles, the soft looks from across the room. He always assumed they meant nothing, just politeness, passing gestures, or mistaken eye contact. But they weren't. Rachel's smile that night wasn't just a smile. It was recognition. It was curiosity. It was the quiet acknowledgement that she saw him, not just his appearance, but the way he stood still in a rushing world, the weight of his experiences, the strength in his calm. And Nathan? He didn't chase approval anymore. He didn't second-guess his presence. That's what made him different. That's what made him visible. Most older men never realize the power they hold. They believe the narrative that tells them youth is everything, that their value fades with time. But the truth is, many younger women aren't chasing flashy charm or constant noise. They're drawn to what's real, what's earned, what's rare. That smile you brush off? It could be a spark of something meaningful, a moment of admiration, a silent invitation to be seen for who you really are. So the next time a younger woman looks your way, don't dismiss it. Don't assume you're imagining things. You might just be standing in the middle of a story that's quietly beginning. And the only question that matters is this: will you notice it?